Hey, this is John Young. Today we're going to be going and seasoning a Blackstone griddle. Now, Blackstone griddles come with their big cast steel top, and they have to be dealt with and get them ready to go. This will actually be the second one I've done. I did the 36-inch one, and now we're going to be doing a 22-inch version right here. Now, the 36-inch came and it kind of had a coating on it. It was kind of a funky coating. And that coating, you could do a little bit to kind of wash it off. Ideally, the very first time you get this, you would wash it off with hot soapy water, wash it well, and then rinse it off. Now the 22-inch didn't have that same coating, so we were able to wash it a little bit, but I'm going to do something before I season it. I want to actually go and get this hot, and then we're going to use our water to kind of clean it that way, and then we're going to start the seasoning process. So what we're going to need today is we're going to have paper towels, water for this first round. I've got my Blackstone griddle scraper that I'm going to be using with the water, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. Because we're going to be oiling this, and we're going to be putting a thin coat of oil, it's got to be really hot when we add the oil between sessions. We're going to be actually adding flax oil right here. So I'm going to take the wadded paper towels to use that to kind of sponge the oil around. And I got an old pair of the tongs that I found in the house here that we don't use anymore. But I wanted metal on the metal ones. I didn't want to go with the silicone ones because this is going to be a hot surface. So I'll just grab my paper towels and use this to kind of wipe around. Yeah, I could let it get cold between rounds and then do that. And I'll be adjusting the tempo a little bit between rounds, but not too much because I want to get this done and done in about the next half hour to 40 minutes. And the process might take an hour because we're going to do multiple layers, multiple layers on this of the flaxseed oil. So we will have a harder surface, a harder nonstick surface when we get done. So it's been kind of washed down a little bit with the warm water and rinsed well, so it's not that. And now it's time to get things going. I'm going to move a few things out of the way here because I don't want to have everything up on our table, especially my paper towels. I'm just going to set these off to the side. So to get our Blackstone griddle going for the first time, we have to turn our propane on. Now in this particular case, with the 22-inch, I have the adapter to go from a small cylinder to a large one. So we're going to use the large. I've got a 30-pound propane tank. So I had to do a little adjusting and such of the electrodes in there because they were just a hair bit too close. You want to have them between 3 millimeters and 7. This is probably now closer to about a 5 millimeter gap. We were a little bit too close, so it wasn't firing off as well as we'd like it. So right now we have it on full bore. We're going to get this all heated up and such. And the first round, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to just squirt some water on this once it's good and hot, and just to basically cook off any impurities. There aren't really anything on there, but I want to get it kind of cooked off, scrape get the water kind of burned off and make sure there's nothing there, and then we're going to start with our oils in just a couple of minutes because this does not take long to heat up. Well, it's not there yet. I'll just kind of show you. I can put a few drops on and it's not doing anything yet. We'll give it another couple of minutes. So we've had the griddle going for about a minute and a half, and I just want to show you we're starting to get a little sizzle. We're going to let it go just a little bit more because I want it good and hot, so when I spray that water on there, it's going to hit and it acts as a cleaning agent on the cast iron griddle surface. Okay, the griddle's been on for about 2 minutes now. I should be able to spray water across it, and then I can take the water and now I'm going to drop the heat all the way down to as low as the heat goes, but I want to keep the heat on because I'm just going to use a paper towel and wipe the surface down. We've got a slight breeze going on today, so you're going to hear a little bit of wind, and the flame is kind of bucking a little bit because of that breeze. Ideally, when you're cooking and such with this, no wind is preferable, but they're more resilient than some grills when it comes to that because it's heating up this metal, and the metal dissipates the heat across the whole unit. So we've got the heat all the way down as far as it's still on, but we have it down. And I'm going to put on just a little bit of flaxseed oil on the front here. Now again, this has the drip pan and things in the back. And then I'm going to take my little paper towel here, and I'm just going to go and spread this flaxseed oil everywhere. Now I don't want to put too much on. I may have to add a little bit more, but I want to do thin coats of this. on the surface, on the cooking surface. The thinner the coat, the better. The more thin coats, the better we will be. But I want to try to hit all of the exposed surfaces here. I'm going to give it just a little bit more, because this first round, my paper towel is sucking up a lot of it. Again, I don't want to have any massive amounts of oil sitting on the deck. Work it into the corners, catch the side rails. I can hit the outside of the things a little bit here. See if I can hit the back a little bit. Just trying to treat all the surfaces so that way that cooking surface will not have rust problems. Trying to get all of those covered. Okay. All the surfaces have been hit pretty much. So I'm going to get down in there a little bit more. So I'm going to just set that off to the side. Get my things out of the way because this does throw some heat. And then we're going to crank that heat back up and let this cook for a couple of minutes. Now you're starting to see some smoke roll off this. This is what we want. We want this surface is going to discolor. It's going to smoke and kind of burn off that flax oil. And it's seasoning itself right now, and it's really going to kind of form that hard surface. We're starting to see a little bit of bubbling, just a slight bit. It kind of looks like a rough surface there, almost like a fine sandpaper is what it's looking like right now. That's what we want. We want this to basically cook this oil off. Once we start to see the smoke dying down, we're ready for our next coat. So it's been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes right now, and we're getting a nice dark discoloration of the deck, of the cast iron deck. Still getting a lot of the smoke and such as it continues to burn off the first layer of flax oil. Yeah, we're going to let it go just a little bit longer, and then we're going to turn the heat down, and we'll add our second layer in just a couple minutes. So now our smoke and such have kind of settled down a little bit, so we're going to put our second coat on, and again, we don't want to put too much. You'll see that this is kind of bubbling up, and we don't want to put too much on, because if we put too much on, it's going to splatter and make a mess. So we want to get a paper towel in there so we can be distributing it around that cooking surface. So it kind of has that popcorn, because we're using the flax oil, it has that popcorn / fish fry smell. And you got to be careful when you're using oil, because it can burn you very, very quick. That's one of the reasons why we're not touching that paper towel. Wipe the surface and smooth it all out. Make sure it's in the corners. And it looks like I might have to get another paper towel for the next round. Okay, we're good. We're going to crank that heat back up again and let it cook for a couple more minutes. Okay, our smoke has started to slow down, so we're going to turn the heat down again and get ourselves another paper towel ready to go. Ethan, can you hand me the oil, flaxseed oil? Now, for a lot of people, we've done it twice, and twice might be good enough for some type of situations, depending upon your cooking oil. And if you put a little bit more on there, this could be seasoned right now with a change to like a bacon. I could put a bacon on here and do some bacon or some sort of a fatty meat, and that would help season this. If I were going to do bacon, I'd put it on here, cook it down a little bit. When I have that bacon grease, I would kind of use that and kind of push it around with the spatula, which I didn't have a spatula here, but you know, you push that grease around a little bit and kind of paint the sides just a hair bit. I wouldn't go on the outside with bacon grease, but I would get the inside with that. I'm not interested in that. I want more coats of this flax oil to give it that harder non-stick surface. So I'm going to put more of this on here and spread it around and create that nice thin layer that I'm looking for. And I'm going to do multiple thin layers of this. I'm not done yet. I'm going to try to get 6 layers on here, and we may go all the way to 8, where we're just going to hit this surface, smear the oil around, and then we're going to turn the heat back up and cook it on there really quite well. Okay, it's looking like that layer's good. So this would be layer number 3. We're going to crank that heat back up. So just to give you an idea of how hot these get between when we crank it up and such, we're averaging around 600 degrees across the top of the surface. 605 is what it was in my last little check there. So these definitely get very, very hot, but it's great for searing meats and different things when you need that high temperature to get that nice seared side and lock the juices in your meats. So it is ready to roll. We have seasoned it. I think I ended up doing 8 different applications of the flaxseed oil. I'll put a link in the description below where you can find this, because this isn't something you can find at every supermarket out there. Some whole food places have this, but not all. And it's kind of expensive. You can buy it, this was about, I think, $15 or so. Again, we'll put the link down below. But it can be locally up to $26 for a little tube like that, or a little container like that. I believe this is only a 16 ounce. Kind of expensive stuff, but for this application, it's going to give me that non-stick surface that I'm really looking for. Now, my cleanup from this point forward, I'm never going to touch this with soap again. It's going to be done cooking, water, scrape it off when it's good and hot, so you get that steaming. You'll scrape everything down into the back, and then we're going to oil it. I'll be oiling it with a most likely olive oil from this point forward. Occasionally, maybe use the flax oil. I don't know about that, but most of the time, I'll just be using olive oil. Clean it down with the water, scrape the thing down, olive oil, then wipe up the extra and such, and then store it for the next time. This is John Young. Thank you for watching.